Do you know how fortunate you are to be born in a time when we get to watch one of the best Counter-Strike players of all time play the game in his prime? We are truly fortunate to be able to witness donk set record after record, it seems, and carry Team Spirit to success. Just last week, donk actually set the brand new kill record for most amount of kills in a single map, which of course was versus Wildcard, where he went 38 and 12 in just one map, and I would like to take a look at that. By the way, this entire series that he played was disgusting. It was actually disgusting. Over the course of two maps, he went 75 and 29. Absolutely insane numbers, but enough yapping from me. Let's get right into this game after a quick word from our sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Skin Club. Now, you must be over 18 before you play on the site, but if you are and you do decide to play, Skin Club is a site that has over 100 cases that you can choose to unbox. Now, you can either unbox them individually like we're doing on screen now, or if that's not your thing, you can actually put a bunch of cases into a case battle and play versus another player, where the winner gets to keep everything that was unboxed during the battle. And when it's all said and done, you can use the upgrader to take the skins that you got that you're not the biggest fan of and see if you can maybe get away with something better. And then once you finish, you can actually withdraw any skin that you want right onto your Steam account. If you decide to check out the site, make sure you guys use my link for a 7% deposit bonus. Just make sure that you play responsibly, and let's get right back into the video. All right, so we are on round number 1. This is going to be the pistol round, and donk finds 1 here. I actually think they lose this one, but this is the fourth, I think fourth, maybe fifth demo review that I've done of donk since CS2 has come out, and quite frankly, we need to do more because this kid is always impressing. There's so much you can learn from him, believe it or not, and he's just fun to watch. A very insane player. He always gets his kills, and yeah, we're just gonna try to cover every single kill here. So there's not a lot to look at tactically on this round, but donk does find 2 before he goes down, which will put us on to the second round, which I think is just a full eco, so we'll end up skipping that. Round number 3, we have some mid control, which I do really appreciate the way that we do mid control on Wildcard, which is they like to throw these 2 mollies. So as you can see here, we have a molly. I'm gonna try to do this as best I can. We have these 2 mollies thrown. As you can see, what happens with these mollies is it makes it so that it's very uncomfortable for them to stand anywhere in mid. So we have a molly here and a molly here. You might recognize this if you played CSGO, because there used to be glitch mollies that used to fly through the air from spawn that would land in these spots. And the idea is that it makes it very uncomfortable for players that are playing where donk is to have somewhere to stand, as well as if you're playing in this cubby here. It basically just makes it hard to swing out and fight in the open. And donk's going to actually find out the hard way that that's not anything that he can do. And also, as well as that, I forgot to mention, they do also smoke off donut and house, which makes it very suffocating to try to contest mid, and donk is going to go down right away. Now, after a pretty big tech pause, as well as Team Spirit winning a half buy that resets the money of Team Spirit, we are back. By the way, donk didn't get anything done on that last round that they won, so I didn't bother including it since this is just the donk show in this video. Now, in this round, Sonic likes to do solo mid. Donk's going to find him pretty comfortably, and that's going to set them up for their round victory. And of course, Wildcard don't save anything, so they're going into the next round on a full eco, and donk loves his full ecos. Going to come up in mid here. Now, he knows that they don't have much because, well, he's good at keeping track of the money, so he's going to contest, not a care in the world, and he will eventually be rewarded because these 3 guys are going to jump right into his crosshair, and he's going to take him down. Nice 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go right on to round number 7. Now, round number 7 is actually a very similar round to what we already saw on round number 3, which is, I skipped a little too far ahead there, sorry for the spoiler, but what happens is Wildcard wants to do their mid control. Now, donk's going to start the round. He throws this molly and he's going to jump into donut like he always does. But the main difference in this round is that you don't see that secondary molly that we saw before. Now, that would be very useful in this instance because both donk and Zontix are playing in this spot where the molly would land, which would prevent them from swinging and would also prevent this kill that's about to come in right here onto Sonic. Now, I don't know, maybe it's a different strat, but if they would have done the previous strat that they did before, then this would have went a lot better. Either way, donk is going to continue fighting, but he, I think he goes down after he gets 1 more in here. Stan trades him. That's 2 kills in the round there, but you can see that he is not afraid of anything. And even after getting the initial opening, he still presses in towards mid because he killed Sonic. And for those of you guys that don't know Wildcard lore, Sonic is typically the guy that's going to be fighting out towards mid. So just by killing him, he's not convinced. So he wants to go see if there's any more pressure, any more players, and he finds 1 more, and then of course gets traded by Stan. Now, you would think that that's enough to win a round for Team Spirit, but unfortunately it's not. Wildcard pull back that 2v3, and they win the round, which puts us on to round number 8. Now, I would like to highlight a problem I think Team Spirit has, which is not a unique problem. Many people have talked about this, and I actually think that Team Spirit are overly reliant on donk. I mean, look, this is a game versus wildcard, a pretty big underdog. Like that's, I think the word big is a huge understatement, versus Team Spirit. And yet in this best of 3, they lost this map 13-11, sorry for the spoiler, and they also went on to just barely lose in overtime of the second map. But you have donk literally setting the kill record, for the best map as well as best of 3 so far in CS2. And that was just enough to barely beat an underdog team. Like, to barely beat a team who's this, you know, one of their first big lands, probably their first time playing a team like Team Spirit in a while, and it's just barely enough. I just think that there is a real discussion to have here, that donk is the win factor. Like, he is the win condition for if Spirit are going to win in any games. Now, so far in this round, we saw that donk pulls out a mid pretty early, catches the double lurk out a main, and then he continues aggressing, by the way, which is insane. Starts from jumping out mid, goes to back default, gets to here, then he comes back, jumps up, he's searching, he's not afraid of anything, he's searching, ends up flanking the cave player, and now he is the cave player on this hit, and eventually he's going to come out here after the bomb is planted, and he's going to catch Stun Assault. So that's a 4K from donk, which is going to be another round win. But again, let's look at this. He's 12-5 right now. So far, he's gotten multi-kills that have directly led to round wins, but he also has gotten multi-kills that have not led to round wins. He got the 2K on the pistol. He got the 2K in the round before in mid that gave them a man advantage, and they still ended up losing that. I think that there's a really big discussion on whether or not Spirit needs some assistance or maybe some extra changes going their way, because it can't just be the donk show. That doesn't seem like it's going to be good enough for the long run. But regardless, we move on to round number 9. By the way, I'd like to hear your comments on that in the comments of the video. Let me know what you guys think about, does donk need some help? What's going on here? We got fast mid from the boys on wildcard. Donk hits a nice transfer. Nothing we don't expect. By the way, the utility that donk did throw made that kill onto Sonic look a little bit better because he was already low. There you go. 3 kills from donk yet again. Completely shuts down mid control and eventually jumps back up into cat. And by the time he gets here, the round is already over. So another 3K from donk. He's on a heater. Now, I did skip round number 10 because donk saw nobody, but round number 11, he's going to be playing solo mid, and we have a half buy for wildcard. They're going to do a B pop. Of course, we have 1 Glock and 4 Tech 9s. So, yeah. You know, just the basics. Here's a little smoke for you guys if you guys are curious. That is a bottom elbow smoke from donk. It lands right here. Could be useful to know if you're a donut player. By the way, I'd like to keep in mind that this is just a half buy with Tech 9s, and somehow it gets down into a 1-on-2 where donk has to come save the day yet again. I don't mean to keep hammering on this, but I do feel like there is something worth talking about here where it like, even in the half buy, like one of them had a Glock, you know, 4 Tech 9s, 1 Glock, and we're still getting into a 1-on-2. This is a very common theme on Team Spirit. Round number 12, this is the final round of the half. Of course, we get a timeout for a wildcard. Now, if you have been paying attention, let's remember some of the rounds that wildcard ended up winning were when they contested mid early and traded donk, or when they got a clean opening on him. And you would think that because of this timeout, they're probably discussing how they can get into this round. Now, remember what I talked about before, which is that this mid control that they were doing where they threw double mollies would work perfectly. Now, that's probably a discussion that they want to have here, and donk is well aware of that. So instead of playing in towards mid and contesting this round, he's actually going to play passive mid. And we do see a very similar mid take as to what we saw before, just without the mollies. As you can see, they've thrown the donut smoke, they throw the house smoke, and they're going to be granted mid. Now, donk doesn't want to fight because he has already seen those mollies, and instead he's just going to spam. Now, if you guys aren't seeing what's happening on the radar here, what we have is a classic to Ancient, which is the A split through donut. I've been playing Ancient for a long time, and it's been a while since I've seen this strat, but the idea is when this smoke fades, or on a random timing now in CS2, you can nade this smoke and or flash through and catch the donut player either spamming or, you know, in his downtime repositioning, and you can just split A. That's why we have 2 people in A main. That's also why we have 3 people in mid. They're planning on going in through donut to split A. Now, donk is aware of this, and as you can see, very careful with how he's spamming. He doesn't want to get caught, but he does spot the flash as it's coming in, and he takes down JBA. Now, look at this from his perspective again. This is not necessarily the fault of JBA. for running through the donut smoke, you think, oh, big noob JBA, he came through the smoke with no flash. No, he did, but look at the flash. And we'll put this in slow motion. You could really just see half speed. You could see how much time he has to dodge the flash. Watch this. He sees it for 1, 2, 3. He saw it for an entire second before it popped. So he dodges it. JBA comes in expecting Donk to be blind, as well as, by the way, he also mollied back Donut. So Donk is in the open. If the flash was any better and popped a little lower, you might have actually caught Donk here, but unfortunately not, and Donk's gonna find his, and the round will go the way of Team Spirit. But I mean, either way, it was a good attempt. I like the idea. And if you're wild card, these kind of things are going to happen. They are the underdog team. They're a little rough around the edges, and they're playing donk. So it's fine. They had a good half. Now, I went ahead and skipped the second pistol, but we have the full eco. As you can see, we have 4 Glocks and 1 Deagle on donk. The strat quite literally is donk, go kill. He's going to step out in a main here looking for a kill. Doesn't actually find anything, but instead gets timinged, and Chopper will go down instead. So there's not a lot going on here. You might think, Austin, why on earth are we talking about this round? Well, donk is donk, and he's going to give his Deagle to Shiro. Wait, what? Of course, donk is a big fan of, elevating his teammates. We know that. Shiro gives it a go. They're playing a little whiff pass. You know how that goes, give your Deagle over, whiff, and then you give it over to the next guy after you die. I do appreciate a little whiff pass here and there on full ecos, but yeah, so we're 0 for 2 on the openings. Donk gets his Deagle back, and not a lot to talk about here, except for the fact that Donk now has his turn with the Deagle. And when he has his turn, things get a little bit more exciting. They're creeping out mid. Of course, they don't have much to go off of, but once people start to, get the idea, oh, Glock's out mid, they swarm. They want to get their ecos, get the money up with the MP9, but the problem is that when you peek donk, you have to remember that he is insane, and he gets a 3K out of nowhere, which has pretty big ramifications for the money on wildcard. Think about it. They just lost 3 guns. That's 3 people that need to reinvest coming into this round. Donk gets his money as well for getting 3 kills. And, well, it just puts wildcard on the back foot, quite frankly, going into this round. Because look, now you have to make some compromises. You're only going to have 3, 4 rifles, maybe 1 MP9, but you're going to be light on utility. It's not the greatest thing in the world, and that is really just the donk difference right there. Like, that is literally the difference that donk makes. Look at the buy. You have a FAMAS, you have an MP9. This guy doesn't even have nades. He could have bought them. I don't know why he didn't, but okay, maybe they mismanaged their money a little bit here, but regardless, we have full buy for both sides, and this round is going to be mid-control. So Donk's going to sit here in the smoke. On a random time, he's going to right-click the flash to blind anybody close. He jumps out on the back wall. Very intentional, by the way, not to be a nerd, but let me just show you. He jumps down onto this wall by donut side, because the idea is he wants to limit the amount of angles he's exposed to, because he wants to blind anybody that's in this area with his own flash and then take care of them, and then with his teammate's flash that pops higher above him, he will then peek all of these angles out here. That's the idea. Pretty good stuff. He scales over to the box just in case anybody were to nade the house smoke and try to take a fight. He has cover, and then he smokes off donut. They're going to progress in towards house. In the meantime, Magix will find 2, not Magisk, different guy, finds 2 at bottom B, ends up getting traded, but they're in a pretty good position. So far, so good. Now, Donk is going to follow Mr. Chopper into cave here, ends up trading him right away, gets a nice 2K, and, we're good to go. The round is basically over, and eventually, I think Donk actually spams JBA through the smoke here, and yeah, it comes any second, and there it is. Okay, a nice 3K for Donk, a pretty good put-together round for Spirit, I must say. Now, one of the things that I'm not a big fan of is the idea of using donk as an entry fragger, because sometimes what can happen is what exactly happens this round, which is he comes out mid, he's going to do the fast mid control, he's going to nade for himself, he's going to come through, but what ends up happening is in this instance he goes down to Fizzy right away. Now he's dead, and the round is, well, over for donk, but the problem is, like I said before, it is also over for Spirit. With a big win condition being donk, you don't see a lot of success if he goes down right away, which is why I'm not the biggest fan of him being an entry fragger, but at the same time, he has such a high success rate as an entry that it does kind of work. But if he's ever having an off game for his standards, there is some serious trouble. Now we get fast mid control, donk goes 1 and done, and Sonic doubles down. There you have another instance. Even though he went 1 for 1, Team Spirit's still on the back foot, and they're going to lose the round. Another round loss for them. Now, I can appreciate the idea of having Donk be your entry to an extent, but I don't really know how to feel whenever he goes down or goes 1-for-1. And most good teams, like the best in the world teams, which is who Team Spirit are playing against, are going to do a pretty good job at neutralizing Donk from getting 3 kills, right? Like, they're going to stop him most of the time. A team like Wildcard might have some gaps where Donk is allowed to flourish and get 3, but as you can see, when they put it together right there and Sonic gets 2 instead of Donk getting 2, they're just losing rounds. And that's kind of the idea of, you know, why I'm worried. I wish maybe Chopper would go in a little bit more first to elevate Donk, so Donk could get the trade and then he can get the second and the third and so on. And now, after the mid control was kind of denied for Spirit, they end up grouping in towards B. And in a round like this, you know, you're kind of in trouble. It's a 5-man group and exec, and Donk wants to take matters into his own hands here. So obviously, like I just highlighted, Donk is the entry, and whenever he's ready, he's just going to come up and take the fight. Now, that second Molly is very well timed to kind of disorient and disrupt the exec, but it doesn't matter because Donk comes up and literally one-taps Susp. He didn't even think twice, he just one-tapped him, and now the site is theirs. By the way, I'm a really big fan of this execute that Spirit just threw, so let me just nerd about it really quick. What they did is they smoked short, and they also smoked long, and mollied pillar. What's happening right now is Magis is spamming in towards this line here, so if anybody backs up to the short smoke, they're getting hurt. Anyone rotating in is going to get hurt, and if anybody tries to play pillar, or was playing pillar, then they're going to die. And the reason why Susp is in the open, by the way, is because it's a really good off angle and he can run away through the long smoke, but also he gets mollied out from pillar, right? So if he was playing pillar and he still wants to fight, he has to come to the single, which is relatively okay. If he wins his first duel, he has good chances to survive, but he doesn't win his first duel. He just dies. Also, let's highlight this. It also spams this cubby right here. So this spam, by the way, I'm pretty sure that it's overpowered, and I hope Valve nerf it eventually. I think it's broken, but yeah, the spam is really good to have somebody do on the exit, because then of course he can become a lurker, and after you have the site, you plant, you come back and help him. He can become a nice cave flank. He can just make sure nobody's flanking you in general. Pretty solid stuff. Now Donk, of course, clean opening onto them. They don't even need to bother taking in towards cave here, and Zontix is going to go down. You know, they're in a little trouble. They've gotten stuffed here. This is best case for Wildcard. They get one back, and Spirit didn't take long. They never crossed. Fizzy's holding the line. They have a really good chance to retake into this round. Now, we do have somebody creeping into long here. JBA gets a clean kill onto him. Donk is now in trouble in a pretty bad spot, and he's going to go down. So you see all of the heavy lifting that Donk does to get them into the site, and that one tap and into the straight up site conversion, it doesn't even matter. It literally doesn't even matter because the rest of the team cannot seem to agree on what needs to be done. You have Zontix trying to cross the long. He gets opt. We could have flashed. We could have done anything. We could have even went together to try to just trade him right away. We have somebody creeping through the long smoke afterwards. He just walks through it, and then he gets flash peek and dies. Now we have 2 people stuck on site. They're just isolated. Donk tries his best to just be like, well, maybe if I timing and I use this pillar to block long, I might have a chance to get the kill. But it doesn't matter. Like, I know Donk is literally the best player in the world right now. I'm just gonna say it. He is. I don't want to hear about Monacy right now. This Donk is the best player in the world. But Team Spirit have put him in the worst possible spot of all time. And we expect him to just bail himself out because he's Donk, but there's some situations that you just can't. And this is one of those. Remember, this is a game where Donk is setting the kill record for most amount of kills in a single game. He is setting the record. And his team is actively making it harder for him to get kills. That makes it even more impressive. I don't think people understand. This isn't just, oh, well, he's Donk. No. This is Donk on a team that is weighing him down. Everybody's trying their hardest to pull him down and stop him from succeeding. He has to go first. Team Spirit are the worst at throwing supportive utility. You can ask Vu about that. Go to his channel, ask him about it. He'll tell you all about it. They have like the least supportive flashes. Their execs are decent at best. And the fragging potential for the rest of the squad has fallen off a cliff since like the major time, around the time in Copenhagen. He's playing a 1v9. He's playing a 1v9. It's outrageous how insane he is. And look at this. He's had enough. They're just going to do another B contact. He has to go first. There's no utility being thrown. He creeps all the way up here. All the way up. Susp reveals himself. The flash doesn't even blind Susp. By the way, again, doesn't even blind him. And now Donk is taking the site. He still has to do it all. He's the first person to throw a smoke. The Molotov comes in and forces Fizzy to peek. Donk finds him, picks up his op, gets another kill. He's done it all, and the bomb's still not even planted. What do you want Donk to go plant it too? You want him to go plant it? Dude, he's opping. He's got the op. What is happening? Oh man, somebody help this guy, man. Get him on a better team. I'm not even joking. Get like, scrap the Spirit Project. Get Donk on a better team. Okay. All right. I got a little upset about that. Donk ends up getting another kill here onto. Oh no, he didn't shoot. But Donk could have had the ace there. He could have had the ace if he would have just shot. Either way, throwing the supportive flash for his teammate to peek ramp, throws a flash for himself, just playing his life here, because even though he's already gotten 3 kills, he's still in a 2-on-2 where he has to win an eventual 1-on-1 to secure the 4K. Like, what? How are we in this position? Okay, I get it. All right. Round number 21. What we have here is another mid round for Donk. He's going to come here and he's going to go into a mid pop, if you will. So someone in spawn is holding a flash for him. He's going to do the same idea as before. He right clicks to the smoke, gets one onto Sonic, and eventually they get mid control, the same concepts as before, and putting a little pressure. They're going to regroup into an A execute, which I don't hate this at all. I think this is a very solid strat. Donk got his opening already. They're all creeping up on this right side as to not get hit by the shadow. Valve, please. Wildcard actually makes a pretty good play here. They gamble stack into the A site, which I can appreciate that from Wildcard. 10 to 10, you got to do something. Send Donk first, of course. Sus finds 2 because the trade doesn't come in. So you send Donk first and you have the nerve to not even trade him. This is outrageous. And they just get shut down. It's a 1-on-3 for Magix. And, he could win it, I guess, but, he didn't. He ends up saving. Well, there you go. That's the story of Donk. We have round number 22. We have an A rush where Donk gets armor AK. No utility thrown for him. And of course, he's going to be following Mr. Chopper this time, which I think is for the best. I really do think that Chopper should just let Donk bait him all the time. Fizzy to receive the hit here. Misses the first shot. Now Donk kind of in trouble. Molotov comes in. He ends up forcing him out. Wall bangs him. And yeah, they're in a lot of trouble here. This exact, Fizzy did a good job at slowing it down and denying it. Donk finds a kill onto JBA. The kills are slowly trickling in, and he's still up on the boost here. Not really too much to say, and eventually Donk is going to take his fight onto Sonic, and spoiler alert, he's going to win that fight as well. But yeah, this is this is an okay round for Spirit. I won't lie, they did fine, but Donk still ends up getting 3 kills in the round, so he's got to do it all. Let's just do a little check here on the scoreboard. 33 kills. 33 kills. There's only 2 more rounds, and he's going to get 5 of the kills. Think about that. To win the game, you need 2 more rounds, and he gets 5 of the kills. What is happening? He's got to do it all. Okay, now this round, this is going to be a half buy for Wildcard. Not a lot to say. Donk's going to basically just deny the jump up because, with MP9s, it's pretty common for teams to do a banana crunch where they smoke the door, they smoke off mid, they jump up, and they, kind of fight from mid, shelf, and cave, and they run down ramp, kind of crunch them in the banana. You see that a lot. That's why Donk is playing very passive. Kind of disrupting that a little bit, but nothing ends up coming in. He's playing very, very slow, and just putting pressure like he has been before. Eventually, he's going to group up with the guys at B. Letting Zontix be the lurk is great, but because he's regrouped, he's here just in time to find a nice 2K on the people pushing down, as well as eventually coming up here and finding JBA at the end of the round. So far, so good. I mean, of course, this is just a half buy. They don't have much to speak of. By the way, what a crazy shot from him. And we're going to put it onto the last round here. What do we have? An even worse buy than last round, so they want to take it nice and slow. I think they're pretty sure about the situation with the money here for Wildcard. Kind of just falls into place. Nothing really needs to happen. Donk eventually is just going to come up here. They do have a B stack, but again, with just 2 deagles and a 5-7, not much to say. Donk takes down Fizzy, comes up onto the ramp here, and just nearly misses that kill onto JBA, but of course will take down the last player to secure his 38th frag and to set the new record right here. Boom, there it is. Wow. Not only was that one of the most impressive games I've ever seen from an individual, but that was, I don't even really have any words to say for how I feel about this Team Spirit team. Yeah, I know a lot of analysts, a lot of people have been talking about how it really is just the Donk show, and if Donk doesn't show up, they lose. Like, imagine Donk doesn't drop 38 here. Imagine he drops 30. They might literally lose this game. Like, it's outrageous. And, it's one thing if it's against, like, FaZe, I guess, or maybe, like, Vitality, but this is against Wildcard. This is a team where if you load up 8LTV, you're like, oh, it's Team Spirit versus Wildcard? I might not even watch that game because it should just be so easy for Spirit. This is outrageous. Somebody please save Donk. Somebody please save him. This is so sad to watch. I mean, it's lovely to watch him farm, but it's like his team is making it harder for him to do this, and he's still setting the records. Like, easily the best player of the year. Anybody who says otherwise, you don't know what you're talking about. With all that being said, I appreciate you guys for coming to hang out and watch the video. Much love as always. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you guys want to see more demo reviews. Leave comments in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about Donk. Give me some video suggestions, things you want to see. And yeah, that's all I got. I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Much love as always. Peace.